I feel it in the pump. I taste it in the macros.
300 grams of carbs.
I smell it in the pre.
I need more caffeine.
Much that was once natty is lost. For none now lift who remember. It began with the forging of the 3 compounds. Tren was given to the bodybuilders, the largest, most hormonal and nipple-sensitive of all beings. Anadrol to the powerlifters, who believed liver failure was an inconvenience and nosebleeds were a warm-up cue. Anava for the influencers, who swore they were natural in every sponsored post. But they were all of them deceived, for another compound was made. Beyond Amrap Door, in the fires of Mount Tren, the Dark Lord Obel Vance forged in secret the Master-Roid, a compound so pure, so cunningly dosed, it could slip past every test. And into this compound he poured his vanity, his precision, and his untested bloodwork. He was the deceiver, the fake natural, the false king who fooled them all. His armies of Tren goblins spread, their pump eternal, their acne unhealed. One by one, the free lifters of the Nattyverse bowed to the Dark Lord's cycle. Bench halls rusted, squat temples fell under his shadow. It is said the mirrors of 1,000 gyms darkened. But there were some who resisted. A last alliance of bodybuilders and crossfitters, sworn enemies since the dawn of chalk, marched against the armies of the false king. And upon the blood-soaked platforms of Mount Tren, they fought for the freedom of the Nattyverse. Barbells rang, sweat fell like rain. And there, the king of Brodelheim, the only monarch to decree 2 scoops of pre-workout as law, stood alone against the false king. And like so many tales before, victory should have been near. But this is not that story. The last alliance was broken. Survivors were sent to work in the creatine mines, condemned to a life of water retention. And Obel Vance, first of the unnatural naturals, claimed dominion over the gyms of men. Though victorious, the Dark Lord feared one thing above all, that another might discover the Master-Roid and expose Obel for the false king he was. So he hid it away, deep beyond the chalked valleys of Amrap Door, in a vault no man could enter, guarded by silence and the smell of unwashed lifting straps. There it lay, sealed away from trembling hands, where no man could curl it, no woman could shred upon it, and no influencer could abuse it while swearing to be only on creatine. And so the Master-Roid passed out of memory, a legend buried beneath sweat and time. Kings and queens bent the knee to Obel and his cycle. Thus, the Nattyverse became a land of skipped leg days and broken promises. Hope itself seemed cut, like a poorly programmed bulking phase. But the Nattyverse has a will of its own, and destiny is a spotter of unlikely heroes. In the shadowed gutters of the Nattyverse, where the gyms cast no light and protein never flows, a child was abandoned to rust and rage, swaddled in nothing but a torn lifting strap and a name, Razer. For anger was his pre, and rage his fuel. He observed no rest days, no form checks, no clean nutrition. He no longer recalls the taste of vegetables. His bench is an old oil drum, his barbells, rusted pipes, for Razer laughs in the face of tetanus. It is said he never learned to count. Instead, he lifts until he gets a labrum tear, and calls that failure. By day, he toils in the creatine mines of the Winstrol Hills, breaking stone for the kings who've never trained Natty. But by night, he returns to the room, not just to grow, but to silence the storm within. During the CrossFit riots of the Third Age, Brogan Harris held the gates of the Iron Refuge shut for 13 hours, using only his quads, creatine, and exactly 41 egg yolks. When the deadlifters fell and the squat racks trembled, it was Brogan who stood firm, armed only with a torn lifting belt and a pre-workout fueled promise. He was the emotional support bro. He was the spotter that never slipped. He was Brogan. North of the Winstrol Hills lie the creatine mines, where bloating is brotherhood and water retention is a sign of loyalty. Here, deep beneath the earth, one lifter remains, untouched by sanity. His name is Razer. He does not know how many years he's worked in the mines, for Razer cannot count. But by the severity of his DOMs, he knows it has been many. But on Razer's 500th day of benching, the creatine mines had a royal visitor. Obel Vance, the false king who fooled them all. He brought with him a decree. To increase productivity, his pre-workout, the Rageborn Hexostim, would be made mandatory. But Razer lives his life following a simple rule. If he can't pronounce it, he doesn't chug it. The young lifter's defiance angered the Dark Lord, for heresy against the scoop is the most grievous of transgressions, and for such defiance, there is only one punishment: imprisonment in a cardio gulag, where the treadmills never stop, and all music is only playable at 128 BPM. But chained to the cursed ellipticals, Razer does not despair. Instead, he sharpens his hate, for he will return to silence the throne. During the Atkins famine of the Second Age, the Nattyverse stood on the brink of catabolism. With carbs outlawed and protein rationed, gains withered and spirits shrank. But just as all hope had faded, Brogan arrived, and by his side, 2 war chickens, Arnie and Sylvester, forged in fire, fed on creatine, and rumored to lay eggs mid-squat. For 40 days and 40 lift cycles, they bulked the people of the Nattyverse, 1 yoke at a time. Together they brought anabolic salvation to the starving masses. And thus, the legend of Brogan endured. In the northern reaches of the Nattyverse lies the kingdom of Masvale, a realm where no child sleeps without their casein ration, and the royal bloodline is 93% way isolate. It was in these halls that the lightest boy ever born to House Gainsborough first disgraced the scale. Prince Parvell, the feather of the Bulklands, hope of the hard gainers, stranger to stretch marks. Growing up, Prince Parvell was proud of the progress no one else seemed to see. Where others saw clavicles and ribs, he saw destiny. But on Liftmas Eve, the day before Parvell was to step upon the sacred scale and become a man, his stepbrother, Titanicus, bolder, broader, bicep vein visible since birth, sought to sabotage the young prince by slipping the cursed fat burner shred shade into Pavel's overnight oats. By the next day, what little weight Parvell had gained melted away, and when he stepped upon the sacred scale, the elders wept. His title was stripped, his oats revoked, his shaker shattered. His father, the king, had no choice but to banish him for shaming the scale. But little did he know, his exodus had been carefully orchestrated. Beyond the fires of Mount Tren lie the cardio gulags, Running on 3 hours of sleep, 2 scoops of expired pre, and a single rice cake he found in a shaker bottle, Razer is haunted by the endless rhythm of cursed treadmills. But on his 84th Zumba session, the guard spoke of a prison ritual. Once per swole moon, freedom can be bought. But the currency of the Nattyverse is reps. And thus he was summoned, a rep regulator, a being bred for a single purpose, to measure form without mercy. It was decreed Razer would perform 100 flawless deadlifts to earn his freedom. But the barbell was cursed to weigh the same as Razer's past transgressions. 1 plate for the day he trained arms instead of legs, 1 for the spinach he never ate, and 1 engraved with the name Kyle, the spotter he once failed. And thus he began. But because Razer never learned to count, he forgot to stop. After 200 reps, Razer ascends to a higher state of being, known as Provana. His pump becomes perpetual. His sweat crystallizes into creatine, and he remembers every leg day he ever did. All 3 of them. The rep regulator, furious at Razer's unauthorized spiritual enlightenment, sends him back to prison, where his new cellmate has a plan. In the ruins of failed bulks, where ectomorphs haunt the smith machines they once believed in, lives a lifter so lean, even mirrors refuse to reflect him. Prince Parvell, exiled for shaming the scale, wanders the Nattyverse, flat, forgotten, and invisible to DEXA scans. At the Bent Barbell, a tavern for the torn and plateaued, he drowns his sorrows, 1 unflavored scoop at a time, until he hears whispers of a power forbidden, the Master-Roid, said to grant impossible gains. With 0 acne and libido untouched, he does not hesitate. For what is pride to a man who once injected pure peanut butter just to hit his macros? And thus he travels to the laboratory of Testaroon, home of the Master-Roid, guarded by Tren goblins and rivers of fat burner. It was an impossible task, but Parvell is an ectomorph trying to bulk. He attempts the impossible every day. With nothing but lifting belts braided from past failures, he scales the walls. Through a hatch in the ceiling he dives, a swan of sorrow and sodium deficiency. Eternal gains are within his grasp, but the cruel hands of destiny intervene. Parvell is seized and immediately sentenced to a place all lifters fear, a cardio gulag. East of the plains of plain chicken lies the cardio gulag. Within these walls, the gearlocked tribunal keeps its most heretical lifters, natty zealots, scoop deniers, and form extremists. In cell 13, 2 such outlaws endure their sentence. Razer, who has bicep-curled air for 3 days straight, searching for the mind-muscle connection to freedom, and Parvell, who now tracks macros on a single grain of rice, hoping it was jasmine, but fearing it was basmati. Their last 2 escape attempts had failed. Their first was elegant, in theory. They forged a slingshot from cursed resistance bands. Parvell would ride the tension, and Razer would anchor the bar, and together they would fly. But the band snapped, flinging Razer's rotator cuff into another timeline, and so they planned their second escape attempt. Razer believed that if they both consume expired whey, they'd develop such severe protein farts that they could erode the concrete wall and dig their way out. But the stench was so severe, Parvell flatlined for 30 seconds and needed to be revived with smelling salts. But the eternal ectomorph had one last idea. His pre-workout, the Rageborn Hexostim, is flammable, corrosive, and banned in 9 realms. He dry scoops the pre onto the iron lock. freedom is rarely easy. Faced with hordes of Tren goblins, their hopes fade until foam rollers strike the walls of the gulag. Crossfitters from Amrapdor, angry at protein tariffs imposed by the gear-locked tribunal, storm the gulag in rhythmic, kettlebell-fueled fury. Tren goblins armed with juice javelins ride out to meet them, and in the fray of box jumps and burpee detonations, 2 prisoners vanish into the smoke, thus changing the destiny of the Nattyverse forever. There was a time when strength was pure, when lifters walked the Nattyverse with discipline and honor. But the thirst for size grew insatiable. From the dark racks of the deadlift pits they emerged, the Tren goblins, their minds clouded by toxic cycles. Once human, now condemned to shuffle among the racks, chasing pumps that vanish like mist. For those who heed the call of easy gains may too find themselves lost. Beyond the collagen cliffs of vanity's edge and the glades of eternal elasticity lies a realm untouched by inflammation, where wrinkles are folklore and gluten is exiled. It is said that the people of Leanthera do not age, but merely ascend into a higher state of smugness, fueled by grass-fed hyper-awareness and alkaline water pre-digested by monks. Leantherans have outlawed any exercises exceeding 30% of their sacred 1-rep max. But one of their sons was carved from different stone. Bulkcanon didn't want to glide through the centuries. He wanted to drag 600 pounds across concrete. He wished for delts so large they'd knock over goblets in court. He wanted mass and density. They called him barbaric. But deep within the tendon-thick recesses of his heart, Bulcanon knew the truth. He wasn't broken. He was bulking. During the rep wars of the Third Age, the Great Wall of Yabudi stood between the people of Laiwei and the Tren Goblin hordes. Soldiers held the line for months, until one day, they complained of CNS fatigue and fled for a mandatory deload week. But Brogan Harris remained. For 30 days and 30 nights he stood watch, fueled by 28 scoops of pre and a single espresso. When the Tren Goblins approached, armed with juice javelins, they noticed that Brogan had not blinked in 6 days, and so the goblin horde fled, never to return. In the collagen sanctuaries of Leanthera, a high king began his quest for immortality. King Brian, the ageless, sleeps upright, eats backwards, and ages in reverse. Fueled by 3 almonds, 2 IV drips, and 9 proprietary supplements he refuses to name, his bowel movements are charted by the high seers, and once delayed an entire war. Some say he passed a blueberry so intact, it was declared a sign of national stability. But there was one thing King Brian could not engineer: his son. Bulcanon, breaker of juice fasts, possibly adopted. Some say he once grilled steak over a ceremonial incense fire. Others say he cannonballed into the sacred electrolyte bath and called it a recovery dip. He has never tracked a macro, nor bowed to a watch that counts his steps. And when he's forced to meditate, he stares at the wall until it blinks first. In the year of the twisted ankle, when the people of Amrapdor grew slothful and round, King Quentin, third of his name, protector of the puking bucket and wielder of the royal stopwatch, sought a punishment worthy of their laziness. He decreed that every man, woman, and child must kneel before him, and then rise again in haste. Yet the people were clumsy, and many fell upon their faces. Quentin, in his royal wisdom, proclaimed, "So be it. Let the falling be part of the ritual. And thus was born the burpee, a sacred movement of humiliation and suffering. Peasants wept, the earth quaked, entire villages collapsed from exhaustion, and King Quentin looked out over his broken people as the sun set upon a grateful nation. In a land where beings are so flexible, they can kiss their own glutes from every direction, and their champion once reversed scoliosis with nothing but breathwork and grass-fed hyper-awareness. But Bulcanon, whose hips once dislocated during a warm-up stretch, could not downward dog his demons. After a public incident involving a kettlebell and a mindfulness instructor, he was offered a sabbatical disguised as a holiday. And so, with nothing but a lifting belt and a dream, Bulkcanon journeyed to Mass-Vale, the squat rack of civilization. Its flag was a sweat-stained tank top mounted upon a preacher curl, and its children were assigned lifting partners at birth and rivals by age 5. Bulkcanon fell to his knees, overwhelmed by the aroma of grilled meat and father figures. Word of the stocky pilgrim reached the Iron Keep, and he was summoned to a feast held by King Gainsboom, a man who believes rest days are myths spread by cowards and cardiologists. But watching from the shadows was Titanicus, heir to the throne, born with lats so wide, midwives had to deliver him diagonally. That night, he tampered with the royal brew, swapping King Gainsboom's sacred pre-workout with something far worse, decaf. The king, accustomed to 2 grams of caffeine per second, plunged into a coma, leaving Mass-Vale with a new ruler. The Dark Lord of the Nattyverse, betrayer of blood work, first of the unnatural naturals, is furious. For his Master-Roid, the source of all his power has been discovered by an ectomorph so lean, birds feed him out of pity. Prince Parvell is now on the run, along with Razer, a man who believes cardio is a government conspiracy. After 12 minutes of running, a personal record for both, they make camp. Parvell stretches before bed. Razer believes stretching is a form of witchcraft. Parvell hydrates with Himalayan salt. Razer drinks from a puddle and calls it flavored. One dreams of bulking, the other of a world without cardio. Neither get their wish, for they are attacked by Tren goblins, swollen with rage and side effects. One wraps its claws around Parvell's throat, but his collarbones, sharpened by years of missed meals and accidental caloric deficits, slice through flesh like daggers. The Tren goblins flee into the night, fearing his fast metabolism is contagious. But from the shadows, they are being watched. Do you know how the Tren goblins first came into being? Haunted by bloodwork results and the ghosts of estrogen past, they are the swollen heralds of a bygone bulk. They sleep in tanning booths, dreaming of the Olympia, eternally recomping, and forever 8 weeks out. But they were once gimlets, bright, hopeful, creatine-stained souls, fresh of tendon and bright of liver. They spoke in tongues of hypertrophy, split routines and 6 sets of 7, which they alone found funny. But they were offered a single vial, promising deliverance from natty suffering. Their traps swelled beyond reason, and their voices pitched to the frequency of diesel engines. Such is the fate of all those who seek aesthetics, but find only gyno. Prince Parvell, the only man to achieve invisibility by simply turning sideways, is on the run, hunted for having glimpsed the Master-Roid, a compound so forbidden it could give an ectomorph back acne before his first rep. He has survived a horde of Tren goblins, a month on mass gainer with nothing to show but diarrhea, and 1,000 bulks, each one ending leaner than the last. Beside him is Razer, a man who has never bent the knee to deodorant, and believes International Chest Day is a human right. Together, they now face a king so devoted to CrossFit, he logs his dreams on a whiteboard. King Quentin, wielder of the royal stopwatch, is unaware his timepiece is broken, and thus Quentin's warm-up has now lasted 3 days. He suspects these outcasts may be his subjects, fleeing the royal decree of 200 burpees before breakfast. While Razer attempts to convince Quentin he's allergic to any form of cardio, refugees bring word from Prince Parvell's kingdom. His half-brother Titanicus sits upon the throne, ruling with evil decrees. He declared cardio illegal unless it was walking between machines. Leg day was treason, and those who squatted were shackled, their knee sleeves confiscated, and the poor were given no bread, only rice cakes and told to be grateful. Suddenly, Quentin's royal stopwatch finally bleeps, leading him to believe this meeting is divine timing. He pledges his fealty to Parvell, and thus it fell to an ectomorph to carry the weight of a kingdom.